And welcome back, hour number 2 and hour number 3. We're going to do 2 hours with the amazing Zachary King, who's been on twice. I think this is Zachary's third visit. He has a story that you just don't run into very often, and it's a story that you go to his website, understand, you can listen to these in the archives. I'm going to put all 3 programs up as a special listen. In a featured story on the right-hand side after tonight's program. We're going to cover 2 things tonight. In the first hour, we're going to cover Hollywood and the satanic servants that are your commonly observed pop music and entertainment stars. And the second hour, we're going to talk about the Bohemian Grove and some other things as well. Zachary's been to the Grove, I can't remember, 14 times, something like that. Zachary, how are you? Welcome back.
I'm doing great. Thank you for having me back.
Oh, it's my pleasure. How many times at the Grove?
18 that I can remember. I think I was there more.
Okay. Well, I hear exactly what you're saying. Now, here is a little clip for all of you who may doubt this. I want to introduce this to you for your consideration. Think of the word consideration. I'm not telling you what to think or how to think. I'm just asking you to engage in the process. This is Katy Perry, the rock star who used to be a Christian gospel singer. And she's going to admit now how she made it to the big time. Take a listen.
But didn't you release this CD like almost 10 years ago? Yeah, I mean, I released a gospel record when I was 15 because I grew up in, a household where all I ever did was listen to gospel music, and my parents are both traveling ministers, and so I kind of sang about, what was going on in my life at 15, and that's how I got introduced to the music industry. Because I swear I wanted to be like the Amy Grant of music, but it didn't work out, and so I sold my soul to the devil.
In 2010, Katy Perry married British clown Russell Brand, former heroin addict, in a Hindu ceremony in India. And their marriage lasted just about a year. What a surprise. I'm Mark Dice. Thanks for watching. Subscribe to my...
Okay, Mark's coverage of that. You heard the clip. I sold my soul to the devil. I sold my soul to the devil. She sold more than that to the devil. She sold the whole 9 yards to the devil. She's not the only one. How many of them have done this, Zachary? Made deals with the demon?
If you look them up on like YouTube, if you look for videos of that, I mean, you can just enter like I sold my soul to the devil and see what comes up. There's clips that'll go for like 2 hours, where it'll just be artist after artist after artist after artist saying. And then you have things like Beyonce, who not only claims that she sold her soul to the devil, but she claims that when she gets up on stage, that it's no longer her. She becomes possessed, and she has a name for her demon that comes out and does her entire stage performance for her. She says that she is this shy, demure girl, and when she gets on stage, the demon takes over and becomes like a wild, passionate slut, pretty much, and bumps and grinds and does all that, and none of that is her.
Mm-hmm.
And then Jay-Z does pretty much the same thing as well. His company, I think it's Rockaware, uses the Illuminati diamond as their symbol, and it's a hand symbol. And then I can't think of this woman. There's an artist that has I use that term loosely too. She has an odd name and a very odd look. She did during like an MTV Music Award or something. She did like an exorcism, a mock exorcism on stage, and she claimed Nicki Minaj. That's it. And Nicki Minaj claims as well that she is possessed by a demon, and that it takes over during her stage performance, and that it writes a lot of her music and material for her. But
go ahead.
These aren't the only people. It's like it's so many.
It goes way back too. That's the point.
Back in the day when Led Zeppelin was out, and everybody, all the parents were like, "Oh my gosh, Led Zeppelin, they're so evil and they're so this," and of course, the more the parents came out against them, the more we kids listened, and just thought this was like the coolest band ever. Jimmy Page owned a satanic bookstore in England called Equinox.
Did he really?
They had, as far as I know, he still owns it, but it has satanic and occultic books that are like hard to find. They're very expensive, esoteric, and then he also bought Aleister Crowley's house.
Well, kind of tells the story, doesn't it? So he's living in the house, or just owns it?
He lives in that. Well, I don't know if he still lives in it, but he used to.
Well, we can go to Jimmy Page. We can go back to Bobby Zimmerman, otherwise known as Bob Dylan. Here's Bob Dylan on 60 Minutes. You'll hear him quite clearly say, I made a deal. And the deal is obvious.
Still out here doing these songs, you're still on tour.
I do, but I don't take it for granted.
Why do you still do it? Why are you still out here?
Well, it goes back to the destiny thing. I made a bargain with it, a long time ago, and I'm holding up my hand.
What was your bargain?
To get where I am now.
Should I ask who you made the bargain with?
with the chief commander.
On this earth?
And this earth, and then in a world we can't see.
Okay, there you go. It doesn't get any more clear than that. You didn't want to say Satan, but there it is.
But and there's a lot of people that don't get that. It's just because somebody sold their soul doesn't mean that their music will reflect. Because if you listen to Bob Dylan's music, if you read, if you buy, the Bob Dylan anthology book, and there's 1,000 songs in it, none of them really reflect Satanism. They don't really seem that bad. As actually, the majority of the music that is worldly, when you think of heavy metal or death metal, Swedish death metal, you think, okay, that's clearly satanic. I can get my kids to avoid that. But the majority of the music that is really bad would be when NSYNC and Backstreet Boys were out. You would see these innocent, fresh-faced kids singing songs about immorality, getting drunk, taking drugs, having sex, and then their dance moves on stage are them humping the stage.
Yeah.
And then if you look at their audience, they're between 8 and 11 years old, little girls.
Yep.
And then a bunch of parents who block their little girls.
There were
and it's
some idols, huh? And you wonder why these kids grow up to be spent, utterly just wrung out like a sponge by the age of 18, 19. You look in their eyes, there's nothing there. Just grief, darkness, sadness. There's no happiness, there's no joy. Oh, there's the laugh, but they all have that. They laugh. Everything's the big laugh. But they don't laugh with their eyes. Their eyes can't hide it. Here's another one. I don't think I even have to introduce the name of this now lately deceased super rock star, the number one, Michael Jackson. Let's see what we have here.
And the dogs shall emerge from the fiery depths of hell to swallow the shallow, the hollow who dwell in the shadows of all who are willing to sell their souls for this rap game. And it goes 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. That ain't the hook, now follow me.
Okay, that's Eminem. There's several involved in this video, and he's saying 1, 2, 3. Add up 1, 2, and 3. He repeats it 3 times. 1, 2, and 3 equals 6. Second time, 6. And the third time, 6.
1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. That ain't the hook, now follow me.
Selling my soul for material.
This is Tupac.
Fast cars and bitches. You in my cold, my soul.
I sold my soul.
I sold my soul to the devil. I know it's a crappy deal. Used to came with a few toys like a Happy Meal. I can't die, my boo-boo's about to have my baby.
This is one after another. These are all rappers.
Hold up, her voice spoke to me and it slowly started saying,
Bring your lifestyle to me, I'll make it better.
and how long will I live?
Eternal life and forever.
Or will I be the G that I
I
was?
make it like better than you can imagine or even dream of. So relax yourself, let me take control. Close your eyes, my soul.
My eyes are closed.
Here's Michael. Anything for money. I even sell my soul to the devil. Okay, so it's in the music, it's in interviews, it's there. I even sell my soul to the devil, said Michael, who was apparently, there's a lot of evidence to suggest that drug overdose was done with intent. I don't know. I wasn't a big Michael Jackson fan, so it doesn't matter. But they will take people out of the game if they start to what? And I mean kill them. What are grounds for someone to be suicided out or otherwise killed, Zachary? What has to happen? Do they have to begin to realize what they've done and then recant?
Yeah, they have to start deciding, it could be that their music is starting to go a different way, and like people are starting to listen to the music going, wait a minute, he sounds like he's trying to confess something or back out of something. It's like you start either acting a different way. You could show up at church one day. You could, there was an incident back in the 70s where a rock star was having a huge party, and he had, I think during the day, he had like somebody helped him on the side of the road, and he gave them, hey, I'm having a party tonight, you should show up, thanks for helping me, show up. And these people showed up later that night, and I guess they were Christian, and they were like just shocked at everything they were seeing there, and they decided that they should pray. So right there in the middle of this huge party, these people start praying. He comes over to ask them what they're doing, and they tell him that they're praying, and he's like, cool, who are you praying to? And they're like, God. And he's like, oh, that's cool, and he walks away. And then the next day, he was found, I think, dead, floating in the pool. And the belief was that they were Christian, and they were worried, the satanic side was worried that he might convert, and
They
he's
tainted
a big
him.
rock star.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that they had to kill him off just so he wouldn't, change his mind and tell people, and then, that'd be a major...
That would be the last thing they'd want, somebody to come out of the closet and admit it and then reject what they have done and
Right.
denounce it. They're not going to stand for that.
Right, that would also taint, think about all the people that made that deal, that then would realize, oh, wait a minute, this guy came out and nothing happened to him. He's okay. And he renounced the deal and rejected everything. We could all do that too. We've already made our millions. Why, we're already famous. Let's just come out.
Let's get out. Well, that's like getting out of the mafia. You don't get out.
Right. And then they see, oh, wait, this guy's floating upside down in a pool. That could happen to me too. I'd better stick to where I am. I better, keep saying this stuff and, pushing Satan's agenda forward and let other people know, hey, you could be rich too if you do the same thing.
They also do that to MK Ultra people. They suicide them out if they start to thin in their programming. If they don't do what they're told, they just don't. Human life is only a currency to be spent, and they don't care about valuing it. You know who they are. They are the dark ones.
And life is very cheap. It's just that easy to go make another one.
It's too easy. It's like tissues in a box. Yeah.
It's well. A lot of the ways that things are done is that children are abused. Well, think about how many, it's like 1 million kids a year go missing.
It's some phenomenal number. Let's just say that's the number. And 90% of them turn up, kidnapped by a parent, whatever, run away. That's still 10%. That's 100,000 a year that can be used for mind control. And a lot of these mass shootings, as Zachary well knows, and I hope most of you know by now, are done by mind control operations. That's why these people, when they don't kill themselves or somehow are captured, often say, geez, I don't remember anything. They really don't. They don't.
Yeah,
their body is just a vehicle.
There's a lot of people that by the time they reach 20, 25 years old, they've been being controlled since they were 2 or 3 years old. By the time they're 6 years old, they're definitely locked into where they are. And if you arrested them at 18 or 19 years old for doing what they're doing, they wouldn't know why. They wouldn't have any clue. They wouldn't think of anything they're doing is wrong, and a lot of what they've been doing is hidden from their conscious mind.
And they're so compartmentalized that they just can't reach across, and many of them would probably choose not to anyhow. Who the hell wants to admit that their life has never been their own? That's a pretty horrible thing to have to confront. Here's we're talking with Zachary about things that he knows a great deal about, having been in the dark side for how many years was it? 27?
Yeah, 26 plus. So yeah.
Okay. Here's another little piece on Michael Jackson, who was a Satanist and an Illuminati puppet, and I do believe that Michael Jackson began to the programming broke down. His whatever was inside of him that was still there, that was moral, began to pop up. There was that one conversation recorded, Zachary, I don't know if you heard it, where he really got down and explained that it was all about the Jews, as he put it, in the entertainment industry. He said they take everything from you, they use you, and then they throw you in the can. And that little quasi-interview that was recorded by somebody got him in a lot of trouble. That's the belief of people who are in the business. Here's another little clip. I'm going to read it. It's mostly titles, but you can find all these on YouTube. Let's take a look here and see what this one says. Many Christians think that Michael Jackson is a saint and idolize him. Think again. These are titles coming up. Michael Jackson was a Satanist. Michael made a deal with the devil in order to achieve fame and fortune when he was very young. And there's a picture of him when he was about 6. Michael Jackson even made satanic signs during his performances. When he made satanic signs during those performances, not only does it put a spell on the audience, but demons give him power to sing and to further control those who have gathered to watch him. And here's a clip of him on stage moving in that very strange animated way that he would move. Very strange. Now watch the signs, it says, and it shows him with the hand, the hand gesture with the thumb and the index finger and the little finger. Not the thumb's folded. But that's a universal sign. Anyway, I just want to make the point that if you doubt this, and you're interested in it, go and look. The index finger and the pinky straight out does not mean you're a fan of the Texas Longhorns football team. As George Bush tried to say once.
It's Hail Satan for everybody that wants to know.
Yeah. Okay, so we have an so-called entertainment industry that is really a mind control vehicle. And they're using technology that isn't even known about. I personally believe that many of these songs if you can call them songs, these are just their products is what they are embedded with electromagnetic frequencies at a certain or several different levels that can transmit into the unaware and any number of messages. Is it true?
I think, for my involvement, the stuff that I had done, some songs are literal spells. Like, it's a spell that would create something for the person that's singing it. So, like, there's a song out that came out probably 15 or 16 years ago, and I was still a high wizard, and I think I was still high wizard, and I heard this song on the radio, and I had to pull over because it's not spelled correctly, but it is pronounced. It is phonetically correct the way they pronounce everything. And I was listening to it, and there's absolutely no redeeming quality in it. I mean, it's a song about pimps and hookers and drinking and doing meth, and it's just nothing. There's nothing good. But
they're promulgating everything that they really want the listener to consider, if not get engaged in. Yeah.
And the chorus and the title of the song have to do with getting rich. It's a magic spell to get rich. And it was Kid Rock's first song that got released. It was Bawa Taba. And when you listen to it, it's like, okay, the chorus doesn't make any sense. You know, Bawa Taba, da bang, diggy, diggy, up jump the boogie. It's like, really? What is that? But that's a spell. And it's usually chanted just over and over again. And again, you're looking for fame and fortune. Well, he certainly got fame and fortune out of that song. I don't know if he knows what the song's about. I don't know if he wrote it, but just magically, like Jimmy Page and Robert Plant say they wrote Stairway to Heaven in 10 minutes. You know, it's like,
really?
It's almost 10 minutes long.
It's almost like automatic writing.
Right, it does.
Yeah.
And, you know, I don't know who wrote the song Bawa Taba, if it was given to him, or, you know, if he wrote it and if he came up with it, but, you know, it's like, I like to give people the benefit of the doubt and think, you know, no, they're victims of this, but, you know, most of them that would be victims also decide that they're going to sell their souls. Like,
correct.
Don't decide, if you're not going to sell your soul, you're not going to make it. I mean, you're not going to be famous. You're not going to be rich. You're not going to get laid a lot. You know, it's like everything that's sinful won't come to you.
Yeah.
You know, and that includes the money and the fame. Now, the thing about the Kid Rock video for Bawa Taba is that there's a guy on a motorcycle constantly jumping things, and he is, well, I don't know if he's still, but he was married to Pink, the artist Pink. Now, he's also in the video of Pink's Like a Pill, the one that has the High Wizard in it. So you have Pink's video having a High Wizard in it, and Kid Rock having a magic spell, and as, you know, the same guy in both videos, and it's like, okay, what's going on? There's like definitely almost like a conspiracy going, you know, just with those two videos. You know, it's like, how much further does that go?
Wow. Never thought about it. The so-called great era of rock and roll, the 60s and 70s, heavy rock, the Beatles and all that. Anything that you know about the Beatles? There have been allegations and so forth about them over the years. Tavistock Institute was behind them and so forth.
In the Beatles, there's a quote from one of their managers that said that they were all severely anti-Christian. That the manager himself said that he was antichrist, and that the amount of antichrist they were shocked him. There was also in a book about John Lennon, and I'm not sure when this came out, but in a book about John Lennon, it said that prior to his death, Yoko Ono paid $75,000 for somebody to do a spell on him so that he would be more famous than ever. And then he was shot and killed, and, well, now he's more famous than ever. One of those things you got to be careful. Gotta be careful what you ask for.
You do. Yeah. Wow. She's always struck me as very weird and strange anyway. I don't pretend to understand that woman. Never did.
If you really want to experience something weird, listen to her sing.
I'll bet it is weird. I haven't had the
Almost
pleasure.
scary.
No. Zachary has been involved with the darkest side. The Grand Wizard. How many years?
High Wizard.
High Wizard.
The High Wizard for about 12 years.
Mm-hmm. And did you always dress like we discussed last time when you were?
Yeah, as a High Wizard, that's the look. So anybody that you would happen to see that looks like that, in a satanic setting, would be the High Wizard.
Now it's kind of like a tuxedo look, right?
Right. It's usually a little more old school look, and not everybody used tuxedo. I didn't always. For a while, I had a black duster, and I thought that looked really cool. So I still use the top hat and the gloves, and I had the wand or a cane, and I still had the face paint and all of that. But I thought the duster looked better. I had duster and Harley Davidson boots. I just thought that looked cooler.
Well, that would be pretty cool, I guess, if you're looking for that look.
Right.
The idea that the cult is everywhere is something we've discussed on earlier programs, and I think it merits revisiting just a little bit. So you people listening in for the first time to Zachary tonight will understand that in your town are people who are involved with this. It's everywhere. And usually we're talking about the city council, maybe the mayor, the county board of supervisors, not all of them, the police chief. I mean, how do you think they cover all this stuff up? All right? It's done at the local level. It never gets out of the front room, so to speak, and they take care of it. So tell us more about this. How common, the organization must be astounding for it to spread as far as it has.
Well, it's a lot of the involvement is also it integrates into other groups. Like Freemasons is a satanic organization. So
excuse me, Zachary, do all the Freemasons know this, that they're getting involved with the Satanic? I didn't think so. They think they're public servants and they're doing a good job and all that.
Right. To dumb down what they do, to bring it down to a very simple level. When you first join, they make you do an oath to Jesus. And a lot of people never go beyond some of the early levels, and they think, oh, oath to Jesus, okay, this is a Christian group. But then as you go on, they try and water down the oath. So they'll have you do like an oath to a piece of paper. And you're going to do an oath to this piece of paper that you're never going to use it for anything other than what it's intended for, under penalty of death. And then they're going to have you rip it up, turn it into an airplane, rip it up, shred it, and then burn it. And then you notice that after you do all this, you don't die. And then you're going to swear allegiance to your sandwich. You're going to swear you're going to uphold the sandwich and never eat it, and it's going to be held in like a high esteem in a sacred place in your house. And then you're going to eat it, and you're not going to die. And you're going to swear allegiance to a straw, and to a napkin, and to your car.
And this is common with the Masons?
This is common the further up you go. And you have to swear allegiance to a lot of things that eventually swearing an oath doesn't mean...
I got it.
Then they make you swear a Luciferian oath. And to you, this doesn't mean anything because you've already sworn. Last week you swore allegiance to your sandwich. So, what difference does this make? And then when you become 33rd degree and you're eligible now, you're a Shriner, you curse your entire family line from you forward. So, like, I work with exorcists now, and in the questions when we're trying to figure out why this person has a curse on them, or their family has a family curse of some kind, or somebody's possessed in the family, and you find out that a great-grandfather was a 33rd degree Freemason. usually the search stops at that point. There's no reason to look any further. That's usually the reason.
There's the ringer. I got it.
So you have Freemasons, which, so many, it's such a fraternal group that, you have cops and law enforcement and, lawyers and, city council, everybody.
Judges,
right.
You try to bring a lawsuit and you're on the wrong side of the satanic coin, and they'll put you in front of a judge and you're not going to get anything. Nothing.
Right, exactly. Right, and you'll be wondering, I have an ironclad case. Why am I going down the crapper? And it's because everybody's connected. So you have in a lot of towns, there's a cult called the Joy of Satan. What a joyous name. The Joy of Satan, and their main goal is the destruction of the Catholic Church. And they will do whatever it takes to bring them down. A lot of times, though, the Joy of Satan members convert because they study Catholicism, so they'll know it better, so they can better infiltrate, and then the more they get to know it, they end up converting because of it. There's a story right now, a news blurb, there's a Swedish death metal band that decided that they would study Catholicism so they could better blaspheme it in their music. And they studied Catholicism to the point that they all converted.
That is really wild.
That'll beat you.
Yeah. Now, you say death metal. I don't know this. What is it?
It's generally speed metal, so it's incredibly fast, and then it's all about death, vampires, Satanism, just everything dark.
Got it. Okay. Yeah. Mesmerizing. The speed, the cadence is. I've got the picture. Okay. Now, while we're at the Catholic Church venue here, the Pope talks like Bela Lugosi's third cousin. He got a creepy voice when he speaks English. Maybe he's a wonderful guy. I don't know. What do you know about the Catholic Church? Now, we all do understand that, and I think this is the tip of the iceberg, how many cases of priests and pedophilia have been in the news. How many payoffs have there been that we never hear about? Probably hundreds of millions of dollars. We don't know. A lot of these kids have grown up now, and they're sick of it, and they want the truth told. So the Catholic Church seems to me to be going through some kind of a change. I don't know what, I don't know how to phrase it, but they've been caught with their pants down too many times. Tell us what you know about the Catholic Church and pedophilia, priests, and if you're the Pope, you had to come up the ranks, and you had to be picked because you passed muster. So tell us what may or may not be.
By the time you get to be the Pope, you've been a cardinal for a bit, and you're voted into that position by other cardinals. And there would be some people that are politically motivated, and I'm not really sure that any of those people really ever get chosen to be the Pope, because the majority of the people, it's my understanding that the majority of the people that are chosen don't want to be Pope, and that's a major criteria. For me, that would be perfect. If I found out somebody didn't want to be Pope, that'd be the person I would want to put there. But I would want them to have a long history, not just tell me now they don't want to be Pope, because I thought, okay, that's a ploy. But if they've been cardinal for 20 years, and the whole 20 years they've been like, I would hate to have this job, this is too much responsibility, I don't need the headache, you only get 4 hours.
There's the man.
Yeah, that's the man, that's the one I want. As far as the other things, like the pedophilia scandals, I believe that, these people that were guilty, well, there's a couple of things about that, but one is that I don't believe that they were a priest and then a pedophile.
Okay. Hold on, Zachary. I got to take a break. We'll come back and let's revisit that and start over.
Okay.
Very, very interesting. Talking with Zachary King here. You can go to his website, allsaintsministry.org, and take a look around out there. And we'll continue with this very, very heavy conversation in just a couple. Priests and pedophilia in the Catholic Church. And during the break, I don't, what was the name of the hand sign again? The formal name? The Satanic hand sign?
It's Hail Satan.
Hail, all right. I just typed in famous people Satanic hand sign. And wow. You know, it's not easy to make that. You have to, you don't accidentally make that sign with your hand. It's not something you accidentally do. You make that sign. Remember the last pope? The one who, people can't help what they look like, Benedict. One of the most evil human beings I've ever seen. His eyes, his face. There's a photograph of him making the sign with both hands. And the quote that he is alleged to have been making when he was making the double signs, dressed in white. This is the spirit of the Antichrist, which you have heard is coming and even now is already in the world. He's supposedly saying. Anyway, you look, it's all there. Little Sarko in France, Hillary over here. I just scroll down the page. Rockstar, rockstar, rockstar. We got one picture of the Beatles, John Lennon making it absolutely right in your face. Speaking of John Lennon.
The devil is hidden in plain sight.
Right there.
And it's like in the movie The Usual Suspects, Verbal Kent, played by Kevin Spacey, says the greatest trick the devil ever pulled was convincing the world he didn't exist. And that's like absolutely true. I mean, nobody goes to church anymore.
No, they don't.
No. There's nothing to believe in. It was back in the early 70s or late 60s, like the New York Times came out with "God is Dead," and then you have Nine Inch Nails has a song "God is Dead," and no one cares. If there is a hell, I'll see you there. And then the devil has removed himself from the picture. So if there is no devil, then there is no God. If one thing in the Bible is false, then it's all false. Mm-hmm. And you can't believe any of it. It either is the Word of God or it's just the power.
Yeah. Hey, here's, while you were speaking, more pictures of Bill Clinton, George Bush, Laura Bush, a lot of Laura Bush. She'd like to make that sign. Anyway, it goes on. All right, priests and pedophilia.
So, it's my belief, and it should be just about everybody's belief that you didn't become a priest and then decide, oh, little boys, they look cute. I think that they were pedophiles first. It's like the pedophiles that join the Boy Scouts and they become a scoutmaster because it gives them access. Any position that would give a pedophile access to small children is what he's going to gravitate towards. And that's why it's so tough for a regular teacher that's male to make it as a teacher, because everybody looks at him with suspicion. Although these days you're looking at females with suspicion because of all the pedophilia that they've been involved in recently. And it's like almost every day for like a year we were hearing about somebody running off with their child lover to Mexico.
Yeah, a lot of women teachers going after their male students. A lot of them.
so, even within the Catholic Church, some of the other scandals that have befallen us over the years is that there's a book called, it's something like, it's like AD 1035 or something like that. It's a strange title to it, but if you Google search communism entering the Catholic Church, in that book, which is from like the 60s, I think, but it was supposedly written in the 50s by a communist infiltrator to the Catholic Church. And he chronicles everything he does, and then he dies in a car wreck. And the nurse has his briefcase and doesn't know what to do with it. And so she takes it home, and eventually, after like a couple of years of wrestling with her conscience, she opens it up and finds this book written, and it has in there a lot of the things that took place in Vatican II, which among those were like, we used to only receive communion on the tongue, and then we started receiving in the hand, and we also, our Mass went from being Latin to English. And a lot of people believe that was the watering down of the faith. And in this book, he chronicles things that he and other communists did to infiltrate the Catholic Church and to change the way prayers were said, and to make it so that you're saying something that sounds like it's supposed to be, but it's totally different. You're now saying something completely off, trying to water down the prayer or make it so that it's not effective.
I understand, yeah. Mm-hmm.
So we've had, we had a pope, probably back in the 60s, that said the smoke of Satan has entered the church. He didn't mean that day. He didn't mean during that time. I'm sure the smoke
of Satan ago.
Church, over 1,000 years ago. Anything that's run by man is going to fall, because you have to have God as a basis. But it's like men are in charge of things, so ego is going to get involved somewhere. Not every man can be as holy as Christ, and people talk about Martin Luther being the first Protestant, and it was like, no, Satan was the first Protestant. Martin Luther just made it famous.
Interesting.
But, another aspect to the pedophilia thing, if you molest a small child, or you molest a child that hasn't reached puberty yet, that's pedophilia. That is pedophilia. But if you molest a boy that has reached puberty, that's no longer pedophilia. That's homosexuality. That's what we have the majority of. We have something like less than 1% of 1% of all the people that were molested by the Catholic Church, which I'm not saying is a little number.
Right.
And I'm not saying that it's right at all, and I'm not trying to excuse it. But less than 1% of 1% were small children. Everyone else was either of what would be a consenting age now, or back then it would
depends on the culture.
Years old.
Yeah.
So it would be homosexuality, and that's what. Notice that no one calls it the homosexual scandal, because homosexuality is the law of the land. If you say something against a homosexual, you're going to be arrested. If you deny to make a homosexual a cake for their wedding, you're going to jail.
So the use of the word pedophilia is a screen to protect the homosexual movement. Understand? Jimmy Savile in England, one of the most high-profile pedophiles in modern history. He's dead now, but that guy was something else. Hundreds of victims. Used to hang out in the hospital for the mentally retarded children, and had free run of the place.
And everybody kept that quiet.
The BBC, where he was a big star on radio, maybe TV too, I don't know. They all kept it quiet. Absolutely.
Look at that huge sex scandal that's going on over there now.
Well, Cameron and the head of a pig, you heard that one, right?
Yeah, I've heard that one.
Yeah, well, just they're trying to pass it off as first it didn't happen, and then those around him, his apologists, are saying, well, it was just a little hijinks, little prank, little fun kind of aberrant behavior as a young boy, man boy.
Right.
No, there's more to it than that. And we have an email here from someone who wrote in, and she said, or he said, "My dad was a 32nd degree Mason. Am I in trouble because of that?" Now, my quick question to you is, does the family necessarily know if the father, in this case, would have gone on to 33rd and up from there?
Yeah, they would. There would be, there should be paperwork that says that he's a 33rd degree. It's a big deal when it happens. So you get like a medallion for your car, a special ring that would say it. If the family went, I mean, it's a highly secretive organization, but if the family went and said, hey, you know, my dad was a member and he was a 32nd degree, and we were just trying to figure out, like, you know, for like, we're going to add something to his headstone, and we wanted to know if he was a 33rd degree, you know, is there any way to verify it? If they thought you were coming at it from, you know, a kindness perspective like that, they might be willing to open up and tell you, yes, he was, and here's his paperwork. Or, you know, if he wasn't, then, you know, they would be honest about that as well. But it's very difficult to, they're so secretive that it's very difficult to get them to open up about anybody. And it's not necessarily because they're suspicious, it's because that's the nature of their organization. You know, they're not supposed to give this information. It's so secretive that under oath in a court of law, they're not allowed to say anything.
Oh, really? Do they take the fifth, or they just avoid the questions?
I don't know. I don't know if they blatantly lie. I was never a Freemason. I worked with the organization so much that, you know, little tidbits here and there would come out.
Right.
I guess they you know, I'm so high up in Satanism, they're like, oh, you know, we can trust him with anything. So,
I got it.
So, you know, I got to hear stuff.
The 32nd degree is a tipping point. It's black and white pretty much between 32nd and 33rd, or is it a gray area?
Oh no, you would there would be a ceremony when you got to be 33rd. I mean, and there would be a definite, you know, but leading up to that, you've done a Luciferian oath before you get there, before you're at 32nd degree.
I see.
I think those start in the 20s, I believe, and I think you do more than one. But when they do them, they make it as nonsensical as your sandwich and your car and your creek and your keys and the grass outside your house. You know, it's like, it's so ludicrous. And surely you remember that the only oath you really took seriously was the one of Jesus when you first did it.
I got it.
And since then, you don't really take any of those things seriously, so it's not a big deal. You know, if their dad was a 32nd degree, they should still be okay. I mean, also look at the quality of the rest of your life. I mean, you know, if you're not suffering in some way that you think clearly this is of the devil, you know, no one should be this sick, lose this many jobs in a row for no apparent reason, you know, have their children attacked in some way, be bullied constantly at school. You know, you look at, you know, the entire course of your life. If your life isn't that bad, don't worry about it.
Good advice. Okay, we're going to wind up this hour, and we'll come back and do another hour with Zachary King in just a few minutes, so hold on. And it's a very, very different world out there than most people would ever believe. We'll talk about the Bohemian Grove. Want to find out about the interconnectivity of the CIA and its mind control operations and Satanism, where it begins, where it ends, how one may use the other, or are they both the same thing? A lot of things to discuss here with the most remarkable Zachary King. Do visit his website. We'll be right back. Hang on.